These are really powerful approaches that we can undertake as real estate investors, even if we've never done a deal before, to create credibility so that we can attract the money and the capital we need to pull off that first deal. All right, so you want to be a real estate investor, but you've got no experience and no money. Kind of feels like a chicken and the egg scenario, doesn't it? You can't get experience without money, and no one will give you money without experience. Well, in today's video, we're going to be diving into how to attract a joint venture partner when you literally have no experience and no money. It absolutely can be done, but when I see most investors try and do it, they do it completely ass backwards, in my opinion. They're completely mistaken in their general approach to trying to raise money when they don't have a lot of credibility or experience. So we're going to dive deep in today's video. I'm going to break down for you exactly how I would go about attracting a JV partner, how I would pitch or present that JV partner, and we'll also share some pro tips so that you make sure that once you do that first deal, you're never lacking credibility going forward again. All right, let's talk about the 3 ways or the 3 approaches that I think you should be taking if you've got no experience and no money, but want to break into the real estate game and attract a JV partner to you. The first piece of advice I always give to any of my coaching clients when they lack experience or credibility and they're trying to break into the real estate game and raise money from other people is look at a lot of deals. Now, this may sound very simple, but very few people I find are actually willing to put in the work. I often recommend to a lot of my coaching clients, do 100 deals. So analyze 100 deals start to finish. Now, a lot of people immediately are going to panic and say, analyzing 100 deals, that's going to take me 100 years or 100 days. It shouldn't. If you know what you're trying to accomplish as a real estate investor, if you know what you do and what you do not do, this isn't that complicated. And in fact, for myself, I can probably analyze a deal in 5, 10, 15 minutes. And that's even if I am trying to put together a basic report for a JV partner to review. So if you find yourself spending more than, let's say, an hour trying to analyze a deal, something in one of your systems or processes is broken. You should be able to do a ballpark analysis on a property in a relatively short period of time. Then go do it 100 times. The reason this matters is when you're first struggling to have that credibility because you have no experience, when a JV partner is like, man, I don't know, what experience do you got? Like, you've never even done this before. I don't want to be the guinea pig. Well, if you can show them that you've analyzed 100 deals, and what I encourage people to do is do a basic summary report. So that basic summary report can be like an Excel or Google Sheet. Literally just list the address of the property, what the purchase price was, what price you would have had to have bought it for to make it a deal, and why you ended up passing on that deal. Honestly, if someone was to come to me as a potential JV partner on their first deal, and they could show me that they seriously analyzed 100 deals, and then finally, after analyzing 100 deals, they found a real deal, and they're bringing it to me, that naturally lends a lot more credibility. That also shows me that they're detail-oriented and they're willing to put in the work. If you're not willing to analyze 100 deals until someone promised you money, I can promise you, you're never going to succeed as a real estate investor, and you might as well just quit now before you even start. The second approach you need to take if you're looking to get into real estate with no experience and no credibility is borrow credibility. Now, the way we're going to borrow credibility is look towards other successful investors that are implementing the strategies and techniques we want to implement and reach out to them and learn their business model, understand their business model, and ideally get a case study from them that we can present to potential JV partners. So what this looks like is, let's say you want to flip. And let's say, hey, you're in London, Ontario, and you want to flip a property in the starter home price range. Well, one of the first things I would do is try and connect with a bunch of other flippers in London, Ontario, in that starter home price range. Then what I do is build up a relationship with one of them and ask one of them to break down a deal for me. And then once I understand the deal, if that fits within the business model I'm looking to implement myself, I'm going to ask their permission and say, hey, could I possibly use this as a case study when I go to attract JV money? Because a lot of people are struggling to understand exactly what it is I'm proposing. And because I don't have a lot of experience, I don't have a lot of credibility. But if I could show, hey, someone like you that's doing flipping full time, that does this on a regular basis, that this is a typical deal for you and fits within your model, and it's right in line with my model, can I use that as a case study? This will create so much credibility again for you when you approach your JV partners, simply because one, it shows that you're willing to put in the work and build the connections. Those are two critical things if you're actually going to succeed as a real estate investor. Beyond that, you now have a real life deal that you can show a potential investor. Now, they can't invest in that deal, but they can at least really get an understanding. Something magical happens when we go from talking about theoreticals to a specific property that that person could have invested in. What that allows you to do is also create some FOMO where it's like, oh, hey, well, actually, let's just do that deal and I can make money. Hey, can't actually do that deal. You know, a different flipper got to it before we did. But if this is the sort of deal you'd like to do, I can keep you in mind when I find my next opportunity. Again, this is very powerful, borrowing that credibility. Pro tip, when it comes to doing your first joint venture agreement, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of new investors make is they get emotional about how much money they're making and how much their JV partner stands to make. This is a complete distraction and you're focusing on the wrong things. When you have no experience and no money, what we need to focus on is getting the first deal. Not how much money we make on the first deal, but getting that first deal, getting the proof of concept, because from that, we can build all of our credibility. We can really build an empire once we break in and get that first deal. But if you're being greedy on the first deal, it's either never going to happen or it's going to take way longer than it should. So when it comes to the first deal, get in, don't get rich on it. Don't worry, I honestly don't care. If I was only going to make 1% of the profits, but it was going to give me the credibility and the story I needed to build my empire, I would happily give my joint venture partner 99% of the profits on that first deal. Because once I've got the proof of concept, once I've got some experience, once I've got the credibility, I can now repeat this process ad infinite. I can just attract more JV partners. But until I get that first deal under my belt, I'm always going to struggle from that lack of credibility. The final approach I would take if I was looking to build up credibility with no experience is I would invest in myself. I would buy that credibility. So the ways that you can invest in yourself or buy that credibility, you could attend seminars, workshops, take courses, get a mentor, and then use that towards the credibility piece. Hey, you know what? You've got no experience in real estate investing. I don't want to be your guinea pig. I don't want to JV with you. Hey, I understand that perspective, but just so you know, I've actually invested in myself because maybe I joined CashFlow Tribe Canada. Link in the video description down below. But, you know, hey, I joined CashFlow Tribe Canada, Canada's fastest growing, most active community for real estate investors. And I've connected with dozens or hundreds of other investors that are implementing the exact strategies and techniques I want to do. Or maybe you decide to get a one-on-one mentor or a group mentorship, and you can say, well, actually, I'm getting mentored by Matt and Ben. And their business model is this. They've shown it and broken it down for me. I'm going to be implementing something similar. Plus, when I get to that, fork in the road or that hard place where I need to make hard decisions, I've now got a mentor or a community that I can turn to gain that experience and perspective so that I can make sure that our first JV that we're looking at doing together goes well. These are really powerful approaches that we can undertake as real estate investors, even if we've never done a deal before, to create credibility so that we can attract the money and the capital we need to pull off that first deal. Another pro tip for you guys, when you do get that first deal, you need to document it like crazy. So you need to be taking photos, and not just photos of the projects, but if you live in the same city or you can get to the project, you need to take occasional selfie videos or photos as well to really show that this was your job site. That social proof, that credibility is going to come in clutch down the road when it's time to get into project number 2, property number 3, when you're looking to scale up your business and really go from 1 to 10. You need to be able to have that first deal to lean upon for your credibility. So you need to be documenting it. You need to keep track of your numbers and know your numbers on it. And then finally, make sure you've got some great before and after photos, as well as some job site photos to really show that you know what you're doing on your first project. Before we let you go from this video, let's talk about some best practices when it comes to pitching that potential JV partner. For example, the first thing you need to do is not overcomplicate it. Most potential JV partners don't want to get a giant dossier. They don't want an inch-thick binder that they have to go through and spend hours analyzing and interpreting your own data. What you should be able to do is very clearly and concisely on a 1 to 2 page maximum summary sheet, explain the deal. Maybe show 1 or 2 key photos. Show the opportunity. Then beyond that, what we should have is additional information or supplementary information that in case that potential JV partner has follow-up questions, we can supplement with, but we don't want to overwhelm them with data day one. What we want to do is present them a very clear and concise business plan and show them what we need and what they stand to gain from entering into a joint venture with us.